Does every ministry need a catchy name? And should it match your church's branding or stand out on its own? And what if your youth group's name already sounds like a dozen others that are out there? In this quick episode of Student Ministry Connection, we'll break down 6 essential questions to ask before naming or renaming your ministry or program so that you can avoid confusion and create clarity for your students, your church, and your community. Welcome to Student Ministry Connection, a podcast for student ministry leaders who want to connect and grow. My name is Steve Cullum, and in all my years of serving in student ministry since around 1999, I have seen lots of things change. And one of those things is how we use names in student ministry. I was also a child of 90s youth group, and so I've seen and heard lots of different crazy names for youth ministries. And this all leads me to ask the question, what's in a name? Does your ministry or program need a catchy name? And if so, how do you pick a name that lasts? And how do you pick one that will actually get used? How do you differentiate your 180 youth group from the dozens of other 180 youth groups out there? And more importantly, do you even need a name? This leads me to ask the question once again, what's in a name? In William Shakespeare's famous play, Juliet asks this question of Romeo. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Maybe we should ponder that same question and a few more as we consider how to name our ministries and programs. So in this episode, I'm not going to tell you what you should name your youth group or even if you should name it, but I want to present 6 questions that I think you should be asking when it comes to naming. The first question is this: does your ministry or program need a name? It's very important to consider the need for a name in the first place. Don't feel like everything you do must have a name. Some ministries and programs can function just as well without a name. I found that many teenagers nowadays just want to call things what they are. But after praying about it and seeking wise counsel, you still feel like it needs a name, move on to the next question. But if you don't feel it's necessary, just stop right here. Just end the podcast and move on, and no one will probably even know that you were questioning it. Number 2, should it match the church's name? Many churches have been moving away from names that drastically differentiate one ministry from another. While there have been some names that fit an overall theme, I found some churches' youth ministries were called something like Agape, and while their kids' ministry was called like Kid Town, and then their mids ministry was called Men of Action. Today, we're seeing a lot more cohesion in the names. This especially helps those who are not yet familiar with your church. So when they see something like Calvary Students and Calvary Kids, they get it. It's all part of the Calvary Church. So maybe that's the direction your church wants to go with naming its ministries. And if so, I think you have your answer. The third question I think we should ask is, what name will make sense? No matter which naming convention you go with at your church or your ministry, it needs to make sense to at least 2 groups of people, the quote insider and the quote outsider. If neither group understands the purpose or the meaning behind the name, it won't work well. We should not have to explain our name to everyone. We may have a deeper meaning behind it, which is great, but the basic idea we're going to name something needs to make sense without further explanation. Question number 4 is, what name will make it unique? I think we want our names to be unique, connecting to the vision that God has given us for our specific ministry. And as I stated earlier, there are names we see over and over and over and over again. So make sure you don't just recycle a name by doing your research. Figure out what names have been used before at your church, and if they did or didn't work, and why. Find out what other ministries in your area are called, and make sure you don't copy someone, especially those that are right in your area. And also do some research on the area businesses, restaurants, and more. We probably don't want to name our youth group after something that gets confused with the local coffee shop in town. The 5th question that I think we should ask is, what name will have longevity? This is a really difficult question, as none of us really know the future. However, It is important to choose a name that you think will be timeless. Why? Because I don't think we want to go through the renaming process every couple years. Not only will that add sideways energy to our ministry, but it also means our people are going to have to learn another new language every few years when the trends change. If you need help with this, I recommend finding a marketing specialist in your church or community to help you. And finally, the last question we need to ask when it comes to naming our ministry and programs is, what name will give us flexibility? Similar to choosing names with longevity, it's also important to choose something that is flexible. This allows us to make small tweaks over time. Maybe you can use that same name for each of your programs by simply adding worship or youth group after it, as in Refuge Worship, Refuge Youth Group, and so forth. You could also pick a name that gives you a flexible theme. For example, if you picked Rooted for your ministry name, you could also go with a tree theme for your programs. I hope that illustrates the point that when it comes to naming, if we can be flexible with our names, it will help us a lot in the long run. You know, if I were to answer Juliet and her question, I would say there is importance in a name because it often signifies identity. Whether it should or not, Romeo was seen as a Montague, and that carried certain implications from their culture. What we name our ministry or program will have intended and unintended implications in our culture. Yes, naming might seem like one of those things that we should just do quickly and move on. But consider the alternative. Make sure that you're wise and consider what a good name will provide for your ministry and your community. And of course, as I said in the beginning, don't feel that you have to give your ministries and programs separate names at all. In fact, many church marketing experts claim that we should be a branded house rather than a house of brands. I want to thank you again for being here for this episode. And if it was helpful for you, please consider leaving this podcast a positive review on your favorite podcast app. And also share this with someone else who you think would like to hear it. I'd also love to hear what you've named or renamed your ministry or program, or if you've chosen not to name it at all. Please reach out to us on Instagram at Student Ministry Connection. And if you'd like to support my ministry with National Network of Youth Ministries, I would love to have you join my prayer or my financial partnership team. Just head over to nnym.org/Steve Cullum, or just follow the links in the show notes. We've got so many great episodes coming your way, including this next one where I talk with Dr. Ken Castor about why it's important that students get into the Bible, how to actually get them excited about the Bible, and about his brand new youth version of the Bible. So make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. And until next time, be sure to stay connected, and may God bless your ministry.